We are back at $2.99, boys, and $3.49 for premium. It's the first time I've seen below $3 in over a year.
Welcome everybody, my name is Michael, and today we're discussing about Mike McCaffrey, the CEO of The Block, which is a crypto news site. And now there is news about a $27 million loan, and this isn't the first time that Mike McCaffrey made a deal that nobody else in the company, only the CEO knew. They made a deal with Alameda Research, which means if Alameda Research and ultimately SBF and FTX were making deals with crypto news sites such as The Block, paying and giving loans, that meant it undercuts all of these PR and news sites, because if there were to be any news about FTX or Alameda Research, it's a little tough to have negative news about a company that gave you such a large multi-million-dollar loan. So right now, there was a failure to disclose that $27 million loan, but a different source said over the span of 2 years, it actually goes up to $43 million. So there is a new CEO, Bobby Moran, and he came in and said that there was no evidence that Mike McCaffrey had improperly influenced coverage of Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, or Alameda Research, but it is something to take note of. So this happened in a December 9th announcement. Moran said McCaffrey had made an executive decision to restructure The Block in 2021. That involved two loans totaling $27 million from Alameda Research, which was the hedge fund segment of SBF's FTX group. So there was also a third $16 million loan just recently in 22 that McCaffrey used to purchase a property in the Bahamas. Okay, this is getting very interesting because now we're getting a lot of connections in the Bahamas, the Bahamian authorities. SBF knew a lot of people. He had a lot of bribes. He was not disclosing a lot of money. A lot of these second-hand sources started finding out later that news sites, that exchanges, that other companies are also getting this money. What was going on? A lot of people who worked for the company felt betrayed because nobody knew about this. The failure to disclose the loans themselves, it's a loan. It is what it is. It's business. Maybe that was absolutely necessary. Not the one for a property in Bahamas, but maybe the $27 million was. So the former CEO, according to Moran, did fail to disclose, and that demonstrated a serious lack of judgment. The executives of The Block have asked Moran to step down, and he did. No one at The Block had any knowledge of this financial arrangement besides Mike. From our own experience, we have seen no evidence that Mike ever sought to improperly influence the newsroom or research teams, particularly in their coverage of SBF, FTX, and Alameda Research. He became CEO in April 2020 and started as chief of staff at the Platmore starting in 2018. And looks like Block's large chief in editor, or editor large, whatever that is, Frank Chaparro, said, "I'm absolutely gutted by this news, which was briefed to the company this afternoon. Underpinning my shock are feelings of utter disgust and betrayal by Mike's actions, greed, lack of disclosure. He's a little old scum. He kept every single one of us in the dark." And I'm sure, again, as a reporter, he feels this way just because, as a journalist, there's supposed to be utter honesty, and you're always worried about news being tainted. So it's well known that Bankman-Fried publicly funded several other media outlets, giving millions of dollars in grants to investigative publications ProPublica and The Intercept, awarding a grant of an undisclosed amount to Vox's Future Perfect program, and making an also undisclosed investment in Semaphore as part of the news startup's inaugural funding round. So many news outlets were slow to report on exactly what was going on with FTX, but what we do know is that FTX and SBF had a lot of political connections. They were doing some lobbying. There was financial ties in terms of tens of millions of dollars between specific companies and political figures in the United States for both parties, which is pretty interesting, including lawmakers on committees investigating the exchange's collapse. So again, a slight brief conflict, a conflict of interest. And then when you really go even deeper, you had connections from the SEC and Gary Gensler and friends from, the parents, and the parents being at Stanford. And by the way, the parents are going to be resigning from their Stanford positions next year in 2023, I'm sure, due to pressure to resign. What's interesting is the Block's page on financial disclosure stated it was fully transparent about our own financial holdings so as to avoid any appearance of bias or impropriety. Now, there was a post of Alameda Research's investments by Larry Cermak, the Block's vice president of research, and they posted a list including those 2 loans of the platform, but they did not disclose financial ties between the news site and the hedge fund. And Mr. Cermak said, Mike never asked me or anyone in research to cover FTX or SBF in any particular way, or anyone else for that matter. We had complete discretion to do our jobs. But that's about that. So, thanks so much for watching. You guys have a good rest of your day. A CEO just got fired essentially he didn't get fired, but he got released. He had pressure to essentially quit himself for failure to disclose. Why he didn't disclose, who knows? Maybe it was just a silly mistake. Maybe there was something deeper going on, but we do know other companies had this as well. Thanks for watching, and here is a Christmas fire truck. Bye.
That's so cool. That's so cool from a distance. I saw that from the street. That's awesome.